Allegations of police brutality have been on the rise, especially during the COVID-19 global pandemic, a worrying trend that would see Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i convene a meeting with heads of law enforcement agencies and representatives of over 20 civil society organizations and non-state actors at the Kenya School of Government in Kabete, the agenda to discuss the way forward against the backdrop of claims about police excesses. While rebuking the conduct of a handful of uncultured officers who taint the image of the service, Matiang'i would call for collective responsibility in improving the relationship between the police and members of the public.
We will rise or we will succeed if we continue to work together as a family called Kenya, where we speak to one another. When there are problems, we do not point fingers. We don't lose time pointing fingers and saying, IPOA has not done their work, the police officers are wrong, so-and-so is wrong, Amnesty International is wrong. No one is wrong. We have to come together and face these challenges together and face the challenges that we are handling here with that positive attitude of looking for solutions together.
Matiang'i was also critical of a number of unsubstantiated claims about the misconduct of law enforcement officers, adding that others are often blown out of proportion without evidence to convincingly support the veracity of the accusations.
Always have in mind, always, that police officer who is sacrificing their life for all of us. All our police officers run towards danger when we run away from danger. Let's always think about these people and know that when they make mistakes, some of them genuinely, they're human. They're our sons, they're our brothers, they're our sisters, they're our fathers, they're our mothers. Let's work with them. Let's not create a stigma or a stereotype towards our officers.
This coming amid rising concern from civil society groups and human rights activists over the level of brutality meted by police officers, especially during their enforcement of measures put in place to combat the spread of COVID-19 pandemic.
From a number of the state agencies, progress on cases of police brutality and investigations into murder and various acts of violence that have happened over this period. We've heard and we acknowledge the efforts of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, Inspector General himself and his team, and also the Directorate of Public Prosecutions and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations.
As ODPP, we have received a number of files from both IPOA, from the Internal Affairs Unit, and also from the DCI's office. We have over 171 files from IPOA alone. And out of that, almost 100 are before court. And we are prosecuting them adequately. And this should show the public the importance that we place on ensuring that justice is served.
Meanwhile, human rights organization Haji Africa and partner social justice centers have acknowledged that the COVID-19 pandemic measures, including the cessation of movement in some counties in the country, have contributed to human rights violations.
People to report either to a human rights organization or to a hospital or to a police station is across the border. So the cessation of movement is denying them the opportunity to cross over. But more so, the pandemic measures have contributed largely to economic disenfranchisement. As you know, people have been advised to stay at home. Many people have been laid off. Unemployment rate is very high. And this makes the people vulnerable to human rights violations.
As public servants, our aim is to serve the public as much in as good a way as is required by the law, and that nobody goes out of his way to intentionally harm the public or members of the public. And I would want to urge the public to report any atrocity that they see committed so that action can be taken.
A recent report by Independent Policing Oversight Authority revealed that the authority has received 87 complaints against police officers since March 27, 2020, when heightened security measures were put in place to combat the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, with preliminary investigations showing that 15 deaths and 31 incidents where victims sustained injuries have directly been linked to actions of police officers during the curfew enforcement. For Channel 1 News, I'm Safin Achieng Oma.